If you're watching this video, that probably means that you are in the first stages of possibly landing yourself an agent. And if you are, then congratulations, well done for getting this far. And today's video, I just wanted to kind of go through some key things that I've learnt when seeking representation from specifically an agent, and things that I think are very important to ask them and to consider. But if you're just here because you're curious and you're thinking ahead, then you're like me, I got you. This will hopefully help you as well. So over the years of having representation from different agencies, I've learnt quite a lot through my journey, and I just wanted to list off a couple things that I feel is very important to know, or just a few key things of stuff that you should consider when you are seeking representation and before you agree. Now, right off the bat, before I get into some of my bullet points, I think the most important thing is figuring out if this representation is right for you. As I've said before in many of my videos, and if you haven't and you're new here, welcome. But basically what I always say is you have to learn to trust your gut instinct. Now, this is something that I've learned along the way and I've ignored, and then afterwards I'm like, I should have trusted my gut. It's just about finding the confidence and believing in yourself that, you know, what you're feeling is right, and trust your gut instinct, as they say. But overall, it's just thinking, if you're feeling that something isn't right and they're not right for you, you have to go with this instinct. And it just basically means that they might not be the perfect agent for you. I just wanted to say that first of all, because I think that's very important, just even in life in general. If it doesn't feel right, probably isn't right for you. Also, another very important thing that I want to say, first of all, if you're going to click off of this video in a second, which I hope you're not, but stick around because I've got some really good pointers that you need to hear. But this is something that I still tell myself to this day, is don't feel like you're rushed and feel pressured in any way. I think a lot of us actors, we have that pressure, especially when you've just graduated or you're just about to graduate. There's such an enormous pressure of you need to find an agent straight away, and how I felt was if I didn't find one straight away, I was a failure and I wasn't good. And this is such a detrimental thought to have, and I think it's really damaging for people who are coming into the industry fresh and ready to go. It can be really heartbreaking when you don't, and it's quite normal to not get representation straight away when you're going into the industry. And sometimes you can feel that time crunch of needing to have one, or they might put the pressure on you saying you need to decide in 24 hours. Just general things like that. Don't feel like you have to rush into any decision that you're unsure about until you know 100% whether it's a yes or no. And please don't believe that having an agent is better than having no agent. This is not the case. Like, you don't 100% need one, especially when you're starting out. You don't feel like you have to, and especially if you haven't found the right one for you. One thing that I especially think now, and looking back over my time finding representation, is just my outlook. You know, this career is a lifelong journey, and it's something that I'm going to be pursuing for, hopefully, the rest of my career. And as I said, not having an agent isn't the end of the world. And for me specifically, it was actually quite beneficial to not have an agent straight away, because I was able to learn things about myself as a person, as a creative in the industry, and just learning the industry as a whole is so important before you kind of jump straight into contracts and trying to get yourself out there, trying to get in projects and stuff. That process of not having an agent was so beneficial for me personally. And this can be a key time, as I said, to figure out what your goals are, what your aims are, what kind of profession or field you want to go into within the industry. And when you do get to the stage of finding an agent and you're essentially pitching yourself to them, you will be so much more clearer of what you want, who you are, what you want to be, what you want to do, and so forth. And I personally think you come across so much more professional and focused in your career and your journey and what you want to do and what you want to be. And in that way, you're going to be far better off finding an agent that's perfect for you and aligns with your goals, ambitions, and what you want to do with your career, and who's best to work alongside you. So now that I've said all of that bit, I'm going to get into specific things that you can ask or consider when you are looking for representation and you're in those kind of final steps before you confirm being represented. Before you're being represented by them. And also just so you can have a better idea of who they are, what they do, and how they work, which is very important. So let's get into this video. First one is, what do they specialise in? Now, this could be whether it's film, TV, musical theatre, voiceover, radio, commercial, modelling, you name it. A lot of the agents can be either in most of these or one of these, or it all varies. So it's always a good idea to see what they focus in, because essentially that's what they're going to be applying you to. So if they're doing stuff that you're not really interested in, might not be the best person for you. Vice versa, if they're solely in theatre and film and you're like, those are the two perfect things that I want to be in, there you go. The second one is just figuring out a bit more about their business as a whole. So how many people do they have on their books? How many agents are on their books? And who would you be represented by? Would it be one person, two people? You name it. And also what's really good to have is who is going to be your point of contact, i.e. which agent, agents, so forth. This is a good thing so you know who you're going to be essentially communicating with the most and who's going to be your point of contact, you know, whenever you need help, questions, or you just want to tell them what you want to do. It's good to know this. The next one is, are they exclusive or non-exclusive? For example, if they're exclusive in screen acting, for example, specifically in film and TV, this means that you are only represented by them in those fields. And it means that you can't get representation in those specific fields that they're representing you in by another agent. I made that so much harder than it should be. Of course, sometimes there can be agreements within your agent of, you know, other things, but from a general perspective, if they're exclusive, that means they represent you in that and that only. Little side note, it's not uncommon for people to have representation in the same field by different agents. This does happen a lot, and I know several people who have done this, but for me personally, and advice that I've been given either by other professionals or agents or just other people's experiences, is it comes across a lot better that you have one person representing you in that field and not multiple agents. This is because it can be so much easier for there to be one point of contact for the casting directors, the productions, to get in contact with you and sort out all the details and stuff. If you have two agents, for example, who are representing, why can't I say that word? If you have two agents who are representing you in screen acting, they don't know who they're going to be going through, and it can sometimes be confusing, or both of them might submit you to the same role and then it kind of comes across unprofessional and it can get a little bit confusing. So from a general aspect, it's good to have one agent who represents you in that specific field, and then if you have other agents, they represent you in other fields. So it just keeps it a lot more structured and, you know, just cleaner. Just makes it a lot cleaner. But if this works for you, you do it, you know. But if you haven't had this before and it hasn't been the right formula for you and it hasn't worked, then I do try and say avoid that and have a sole agent in that field, or what they're representing you in. Why can't I say the word? Well, they're representing you in that field. There we go. My next one is, can you still find your own acting work yourself? This one's very key if you're like me and you find most of your jobs through networking, connecting with people, and, you know, and just being recommended for possible projects. It's very important to know whether you can still find your own work or you're not allowed, or it has to go via them and they have to confirm it and things like that. It's really good to know this, because then you're not stepping on any toes before you've even started and you didn't realise. It's good to know. From my experience, pretty much all of them were okay with this. I think it's just really important to have that open communication and just letting them know when projects and things like that are happening, because obviously they're going to be submitting you for work, so they need to know your schedule. Next one is commission percentage. Now this is really good to know, because this is starting to get down to the nitty-gritty bits and the details when it comes to projects. It's really important to know how much commission that they are taking from you from each project that you do. And it is really important to know how much the percentage is, especially when it comes to different fields, and if they are, well, they'll most likely be different percentages within each category. So it's good to know this, and to especially know if they're not taking the mick and taking too much, because it can happen. Most of the time these days I don't see it, but you know, things happen. It's good to know how much exactly they're going to be taking commission off you from your work that they get from you, or even knowing if they're taking commission from the work you get yourself. So it's very important to find this out. I will say the commissions can range from percentages because it really does depend on the field, but from a general perspective, I'm going to put it out there, and this is saying about the UK, is I think anything more than 20 to 25% is enough. Like, that's even quite high. But again, it does depend on which field that you're in, because obviously, for example, commercials are very different to like film projects, or theatre is completely different to doing like motion capture. So it varies, and it's just making sure that you think it's a reasonable amount for you. But if you're not sure or you're a bit confused, just ask him. Ask him why is it so high or why is it so low, you know. Yeah, just ask him if you're really not sure. But from a general perspective, and what I've had, has been nothing more than like 20-25% for the UK. It's very important. And of course other things come into play. Sometimes it's low percentage, but then it's realising within the details if they take how much commission from royalties, or for how long you've been on a project and you still get paid and then they still get paid, and blah, blah, blah. It's important to know this. I won't get into the nitty gritty because you could be here all day, and every project and everyone is different. Everything is different. But yeah, just find out. Just find out. And this is one of the most important bits, which is one that I'm always very, well, still adamant to this day, is the contracts. Reading through your contracts. Now, like, let's be real here. No one likes reading contracts. I think even people who are paid to do it don't like reading contracts. Well, I hate reading contracts, especially with like feeling overwhelmed by so many words and not understanding the language. It's stressful, it's horrible. Yes, like it is, it sucks, but it's so important for any project or any representation. All representation is so important to read your contracts, like full stop. You need to know what you are signing, because that is your name on that contract, and you legally have to, you're binded to that. So you don't want to be signing your name to some of these skim reading when, yeah, I just want an agent, like, yes, like, I can buy you in a butt. Don't do that. But it's just about reading through the contracts, and it's not about finding like what can you say, like the warning signs. It's not that. It's just, it's so important to know what you're signing to and what you have to follow and what they have to do for you. As I said, for me, this is the most difficult bit, because like there's just language that it's just so overcomplicated, and a lot of the time when you read it you won't understand, but when someone puts it in a different context you're like, why didn't they just say that? So it's just about triple checking the contracts, just making sure you know every single detail. And if you're not sure, often or not, you can share it to someone close to you, you know, someone who you trust or who has experience with contracts and so forth. Of course, you do need to get confirmation it's okay. I don't see there being nothing wrong with someone else reading over your contract, just to make sure that you haven't missed anything, and again, just knowing what you're signing to. But I will say this, there's nothing wrong with asking the agent questions about your contracts. That's the point, you know. It's all about communication between you two. And there's no silly question. And I know, like, I've been there, I felt really silly in some of the questions that I've asked because I just didn't understand the terminology. Like, there's no silly questions. All you need to do is email them or contact them, just cite the bit that you're unsure about and send it to them saying, could you just explain what that means, or put it in different contexts, and I'm pretty sure they're going to tell you what it means. Like, that's the whole point. So yeah, don't ever feel embarrassed about not knowing what parts mean, because especially, well, if you're still starting out, or even to this day, all contracts are different for all agents. So sometimes it's just different terminology that you just may not have heard yet, and there's nothing wrong with that. So just ask them, and then in that way you will know what it means. You go, oh, okay, that's cool, that's not scary at all, or that doesn't sound too I don't know, like a warning. Like, yeah, it's good to know what you're signing your name to. It's so important. So don't neglect this bit. Don't do it. I know you want to, and you don't. Because thankfully I haven't been in any bad situations with contracts where things have gone wrong, but there's so many cases this has happened for other people, whether it's agents, projects, you name it. It's so important to read your contracts, okay? Just please. You'll thank me later. They're the main things that I wanted to go through of what you should look out for or you should be asking in the stages of just before you sign with your agent. Of course, I could go into so much more nitty and gritty, but overall, I think when it comes to finding representation, it's just being open and honest and not fearing about asking any questions that you're, unsure or uncertain about. Because at the end of the day, if you sign with this person or this company, you're going to be working with them. Like, they're going to be applying you for jobs. It's, you want to know who's representing you. So it is really important to get to know who is going to be the spokesperson for you. Like, when I first started out, I literally had no clue what was going on. I didn't know what to ask, what to say, what kind of things that are a bit, I just had no idea. I was so new to it, I was so underprepared, and, I didn't have anyone in the industry. I didn't know anyone in the industry or connections, or like my family weren't in the entertainment industry, so this was all new, and I was just so caught up in the whole idea of I'm about to land an agent, they want me, they want to represent me, and I just got kind of flustered with it all. And yeah, I just kind of saw it as like, this is a goal of mine, this is a big achievement for me to find an agent on my own, and I kind of just didn't realise about how important it is to, just finding the right agent for you and what you need from an agent. Because it's not about them telling you what you want to hear and blowing smoke up your butt. Like, no, it shouldn't be that. As much as it's so cool to think of these, like, oh, you could be the next this, you could be that. Like, it's all dreamy, but realistically, for most of us, it's not like that. It's not going to happen like that. It's a lot of hard work, dedication, rejections, working through it. Like, it takes time and it's a lot of work and effort, and it's just so important to find the right agent for you who knows exactly what you want to do in this industry, what your goals are, what you like to achieve, and also just someone who knows how they're going to submit you and what your kind of, not typecasting is, but where you fit within these castings. There's no point someone going, yeah, you could play a 30-year-old when you look 18. Like, it is so important to have the same mindset and the same vision that they have for you that you have for yourself. Do you get what I mean? Say yes if you do. Yeah, and it's all about just being a partnership. It's not, you land an agent and you step back and they do all the work. It shouldn't be that. It's about a partnership and working together towards your goals and your ambitions, and being there to open more doors for you and just to get you in for those opportunities you wouldn't have been able to do yourself. And also for them to just be there as your support system and able to provide you any help or aid that you need in moments in your career. And for you to be able to trust them and believe that they've got your back, and as I said, not have any worries or concerns or be scared to talk to them. It's not about that. It shouldn't be about that. It's a partnership, professionally, you're working together, and that's what it's all about. And don't worry if you have had previous agents that haven't worked out. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just, well, especially for me, it doesn't mean that any of my agents were bad. It's just, we weren't right for one another. And it can sometimes just be a process of figuring out who's best for you, who works best with you, and you have the same goals, or they can help you achieve your goals. It's just the reality of it. Sometimes they just can't help you and someone else can. Each of them have different types of connections and different ways of talking to professionals within the industry, and you can see something that someone else can't. There's nothing wrong with having a different agent. It's just realize that you have to work with them, and it can take time, but it's just figuring out who's right for you, going with your gut instinct, and you know, again, it's for the long haul. It's not about, oh, it's been 2 months and they haven't got me any self-tapes, they must be terrible, they're awful agent. No, it can take time. Like, it's different for everyone, and try not to compare yourself to other people who have just signed to an agent and then they get self-tape just like that. Like, everyone's different. So yeah, finding the right one for you and who you feel happy and comfortable being represented by. That's all I've got for today, and I really hope this has helped you and it's made you feel a little bit more comfortable and confident when you're going into that next stages of asking them questions and just before you're about to sign with an agent. It can be all very overwhelming, well, especially for me, and I can find it really hard personally of learning how to figure out what's best for you and your career, and really being specific of what you need and choosing the right agency for you, and not just going for the first one that gives you an offer. It's not about that. It can take time and it can feel very frustrating, or you get kind of wrapped up in the whole ball of, you know, I need to get all done and signed and get going. It's not about that. Take time, and yeah, you'll find the right agent, and it's a process. You will learn, and these are things that I've learned personally, and it's helped me. And now I can say that I'm a lot more decisive, and I find it a lot more clearer of who I know that, you know, who's best for me and who's not, you know. And not applying for every single agency on this planet. Like, no. Be specific, know what you want, and don't feel too bad if they reject you if you don't get the reply. It's okay. You'll find the right agent for you. You will. It'll take time, can take time, probably will take time. It's fine. And what I do want to say is, if you're going to listen to anything, remember this, that you are talented, you're unique, there's only one of you, and they need you. You are the talent. You got it. But yeah, I've got nothing else more to say, or I probably shouldn't say anything more because I will babble on for years to come. But if you've got any questions or you want to know little things a little bit further, just write whatever questions you have in the comments down below and I will answer them for you. And yeah, I hope this has helped you. Let me know if this is the sort of thing you like. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I've got lots of exciting videos still to come. And yeah, if there's anything that you actually want to see from me, let me know. I'm happy to do whatever you'd like, because I'm here to help you, and I hope I am. But yeah, have a good day, evening, wherever you are, and good luck with finding representation. So yeah, have a good evening. Bye bye. Oh, there's a bit there. Little side note, I thought I'd put, how did I do that? Represented by. Why can't I say that word? That's all I got to, but if you've got any other, why can I not say representation? Representation, 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 representation. Oh, do I match my background? Oh my god, it's Pikachu! I must look so sad. I've got Pikachu there, there, there. You can tell I like Pokemon. Bye bye.